Like the township before, no buildings were truly pristine. Grey slabs stood crooked, barely being held up by large metal bars, the black paint softly flaking due to the elements. Worn-down blankets and tarps hovered over most of the streets. What resembled a sidewalk was crowded by lone carts, some filled with personal belongings. A mass of people were gathered on the square, shoulder to shoulder, many of them staggering as though they were drunk, and at a glance the civilians were missing legs, hands, eyes. None of them were complete. Signs were raised in protest, in a language neither of the travellers understood. As the townspeople leered at the car passing by, some screeched incoherent contention.
Why doesn't she answer us? What kind of god would leave us to die?
We must all be gathered here because of the weird. Roald, bro, I do not like coming down here, okay?
This was more people than Roald had seen in a long time. It almost felt as if he were drowning.
Hey, I've got a watch here that she's actually touched. Who'll give me 10 quid?
10? Ha! I'll give you 40.
70 if her fingerprints are still on it!
The skeleton of a car rolled to a stop next to the smallest mass of people. They stayed away from this building. It wasn't very majestic, not much more than a foot off the ground, and composed of nothing but weathered bricks and plywood.
I'm staying here, protecting my CAR. Wyrd should be in there, doesn't leave her nest.
Burning candles dotted the area. The multiple lights made Roald feel queasy. The warmth of the air beat down on him, and so he hopped out of the car, while a few stragglers neared.
Step back! You might ignite her wrath. Don't you know the legends?
Oh, dearest goddess, I have followed you for many moons. My faith in you is unwavering. My child is in need of divine care. I fear he will not last this winter. Oh, goddess, please show us mercy.
Stepping upon the ledge, Roald kicked the plywood out of the way to reveal a set of stairs. Not much could be seen in the darkness, and he started to make his way down.
What are you doing? To go down there is certain doom.
No one can see the goddess.
What makes you think you're so special?
The voices quieted with each step. The stairs creaked as Roald stepped down, the pale and peeling walls around him tapering as he neared the bottom. An ornate carpet hung from the walls, with golden tassels and stitching. Sparse bookshelves lined the others. More candles stood on tall, black metal platforms around the room, the only source of light as there were no windows. On the floor was a girl. Her flesh was pale enough to make out the blue veins lying underneath. The stranger was wearing rusted jewelry. She shuffled on her hands and knees and drew these foreign symbols and patterns that took up all of the hardwood.
Hello?
Roald stuttered awkwardly, his eyes distracted by the intricacies of his surroundings.
Are you the Wyrd?
I am as we are to sparrows.
She uttered monotonously, brushing away locks of hair to reveal big, pupilless golden eyes.
Typically, this is where people would bow. If you believe it, you're on holy ground.
I'm not the faithful type.
What are you doing in my domain?
I had something to ask of you.
Turning her back towards him, she continued on with her drawings.
Everybody wants to ask me something. Everybody. All the noise. It's redundant.
The chalk screeched against the floor.
And everybody believes that they're the most important. Such a self-serving hyperbole. They're all as predictable as dominoes in a row, trying to ascertain themselves of their worth by standing tall. But in the end, they all stand tall, so really their efforts don't matter. Their only purpose is to fall.
Well, you're cheery, aren't you?
Misanthropic, actually. You've asked your something. Now leave me alone.
No, that wasn't it.
His palms were sweating as he struggled to find a safe way to form his next sentence.
Outside, it's...
Not good. I'm not stupid, Roald.
Yeah, well, that's a...
His eyes widened as he realized.
I never gave you my name.
I never asked for it. Continue on. Tell me how your home and family have been devastated, how you've lost everything you love, traveled all this way, and you want me to snap my fingers and make it all better. Believe me, I'm all ears.
She put the piece of chalk down and stared contemplatively at him.
That's basically it. I'm not leaving without a yes.
Then you're not leaving at all. I haven't left her either. Not for a long, long time.
Gesturing to her complexion, she crawled across the floor to the corner, the alien notation underneath smudging. From that corner, she was pulling out a long rod, the metal shiny and new, but misshapen, as if it had been held for a long time. A rope was tied tightly around its frame, and at one end was a spade caked in mud. At the other were two sharp, crescent-shaped blades.
After all, it's dangerous out there.
What is that thing?
Calmly, the girl smiled.
They say I'm a witch. Do you believe that?
He glanced around the room full of oddities again.
If not, you're quite the actress.
You could call this my magic wand. It's how I defend myself.
She started untying the rope.
You are brave or stupid for coming to this place. Nobody does anymore. I like that. I don't need to waste my time with the weaker lives. So I'm telling you now, take your leave.
Are you threatening me?
In warning, his hand lowered to his knife.
Yes.
I didn't come all this way to give up here. I could very well drag you out if you're kicking and screaming, but I'd rather be nice about it.
You've never talked to a goddess before, have you?
No, but there's a first time for everything.
And a last.
What's it gonna take to get your help?
I don't need you.
She retorted, cracking the air with the rope in one hand and holding the crescent moon spade in the other.
Catch my drift?
Look, just give me a map to them and then I'll go, and I'll be on my way, I promise.
A map to them? A bloody map to them? Do you really think I'd be so naive?
Using the majority of her body strength, the Wyrd took a heavy swing at him with her staff.
Whoa!
Quickly, he shot his arm upwards and blocked the strike with his knife, the blade's tip digging into the heel of his palm. Blood trickled down his forearm.
If I could go back there, don't you think I would have? I'm not affiliated with you or your kind. Now, since your genocide didn't work on me, you think you could use me? Is that right? You think I'll lead you right to them?
With the other end of her spear, she jammed it into Roald's worn shoe, and he lowered his weapon instinctively.
Ah!
You're wrong.
What are you talking about?
He stared right down the pointed end of her staff.
I just want the flowers!
Wait, what flowers?
She pulled her weapon back slightly, though it was still pointed at him.
The Reneka, the ones that are supposed to clean the air. I wouldn't know where else to find them since all the plants went haywire.
She clung tighter to the rod.
Why?
I'm from Si Kheiyw, by the stream.
He didn't look up at her.
Si Kheiyw?
Suspicion tinted her voice.
The town on fire?
Hesitantly, he gave her a nod in response.
That's impossible. How did you find me?
Boreal mentioned something.
His breathing leveled out. She lowered her weapon.
You know him? Is he like you? Alive?
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. But I thought if I could get those flowers, things would be better.
I don't have the flowers here. I'm not a botanist. Get back to the car, Roald. Give me some time to think.
We don't have a lot of it left.
I know. When do we ever? Now get back in the car before I flat out refuse.
Scrambling to his feet, Roald turned his back on the strange room.
Thank you.
Screw you.
Her voice faded, and he raced up the stairs. The sound of his footsteps reflected off of the weakened walls. He was surprised at how good of a condition the place was in. Spying the light from the cracked plywood ahead, he moved faster. Soon he reached the surface, and bright light blinded his good eye.
He lives!
Did you see her? What was she like?
What did you ask for?
Crowds began to swarm around him. he was berated by questions. As he started struggling through the mass back to what was left of a car, he spotted Figaro in some kind of conflict.
Yo, bro, chillax!
With the broken black umbrella, he was fighting off an old man trying to get into the car. Roald raced to his aid after breaking out of the crowd. He dug his fingers underneath the stranger's red leather vest and pulled him back. Flailing his fuzzy, speckled arms wildly, the old man scratched Roald on the cheek. Using all of his strength, he threw the older gentleman to the curb and stepped into the car. The intruder did not get up.
Thanks, dude.
Figaro was unable to take his eyes off of the limp body.
Think we should try and help him out?
He just tried to attack you.
Yeah,
Figaro awkwardly rubbed his neck.
but still, you know,
The blonde glanced behind him and noticed the victim being dragged off of the road by a man in a big coat, blood trailing the pair.
I don't think you need to worry about it.
okay.
He brushed aside a wisp of greasy black hair.
So, how'd it go?
She's an absolute bit.
Yo, bruh, little house rule, keep it classy in the car.
I'm sorry. I've just never met anybody so... I don't have the word for it.
She's actually down there. That's interesting. I didn't think those people would be so open about their handicap.
What does it matter? It just makes things easier for me.
So, can we leave?
She said she'd come back with an answer.
Dude, I don't want to stay here.
Figaro winced while glancing over at the trail of blood left by the old man.
Nobody's forcing you.
Oh, my gut is. Bros help bros. Besides, I've never met a goddess or a witch before, so I guess I'll stick around a while.
A small smile creeped across the blonde's face.
Thanks.
Leaning back in his seat, Figaro pulled up a small box from the floorboard. It had a foreign word engraved on the lid, though faded with age.
I tried to get the radio working while you were in there, and I don't know if it's the car or the tower or what, but it just didn't.
He trailed off, a glimmer in his green eyes. Slowly, he slid off the driftwood top to reveal an envelope over top of several stray cigarettes and a small metal lighter.
Hey, these are still here? Sweet! You want one, bro?
Okay.
Politely, Roald took one from the driver, who nabbed the lighter and tried to get it to spark.
Man, I missed these things when I was stuck down there.
Figaro sighed dreamily. The flame ignited.
The good thing about having this stub
He gestured to his deformed finger.
is that I can never burn myself on these.
Defect?
Meat grinder, factually.
He reached over and lit Roald's cigarette.
Let me tell you, bro, you don't want to be stupid around those things. That's for sure.
He mirrored the action on his own and inhaled. Escaping his chapped lips were tiny smoke rings into the dimming daylight. Hesitantly, Roald brought the lit stick closer to his mouth, his fingers trembling. Breathe in. No, too much. The taste was rancid in his mouth, and his face turned a vivid red. Sweat started to roll down his forehead as he spat the cigarette out into his palm. It burned upon touch, but Roald still wrapped his fingers around it. A violent coughing and sputtering attack made him seize up, smoke inconsistently billowing out into the humid air.
You okay, bro?
Figaro asked in concern, before laughing, realizing.
Oh, is this your first one?
It's not funny.
Roald leered before sticking his head outside the car frame, his body heaving.
Yeah, okay. I know, bro.
Figaro took the bottled water from earlier and passed it to him.
Here.
Roald bit down on the mouth of the bottle and whipped it up. He sloshed the liquid around his mouth before spitting it out onto the pavement.
Ugh, that was disgusting.
He rubbed his throat.
Yeah, I know.
Figaro smirked.
Entertaining, though. Hey, you can't blame me. You're the one who took it. First time for everything.
And alas.
Roald coughed before realizing he still had the cigarette burning his hand. Unfurling his fingers, he found a white mark bubbling on his palm and stared at it for a moment before tossing the wasted treat out the window.
Dude, does that hurt?
The driver asked, peering over at the hand.
Actually, no.
Roald rubbed his fingers over the sear and found that he felt nothing.
This is weird.
Okay. The universe can be split into two categories. Not good and good. Which category do you think this one fits in?
Not good.
The traveler answered sheepishly. Comfortably, Figaro put his feet up on the dashboard.
Well, we can test the heal by touch theory, can't we?
I'm fine.
Roald spoke quickly, indignantly. He took a quick glance at the radio wires, tied crudely together.
You can't fix the radio without replacing the parts.
Yeah, that's what they teach you to say so you can squeeze the pennies out of people.
Figaro scoffed.
I'm being serious. Someone's pulled all the copper out of these. You're not gonna get any signal.
Squirming so he was almost upside down, the blonde glanced under the dash.
And the AC's completely gone. This vehicle's the stuff of nightmares.
Well, you say you can fix anything.
Figaro pulled the cigarette away from his lips.
It's not like I brought my toolbox with me. I mean, I do have a couple things, just not what you need.
He glanced over at his backpack. Figaro stared vacantly out the distance. The sun was just beginning to dip down below the mountains, the smoggy skies tinting gold. He twirled the cigarette in his fingertips.
Roll. Never mind.
The traveler followed his companion's gaze out into the skies. A moment of silence passed between the two of them, or as close as it could get. Footsteps emanated from the squat brick building to their right, and the sound of plywood scraping against the walls could be heard. Out appeared the Wyrd, donning a black cloak and a red enveloped canvas purse with a long strap over the shoulder. The spade was in her hand, and black smoke followed from the aperture beneath her. The lost souls that lived on the streets froze, didn't move. Uncomfortably, she scanned over her surroundings, placing one bare foot elegantly in front of the other. Somebody shouted, and a few brave people shuffled closer. Placing a pale hand on the frame of the car, she glared at Figaro.
Drive.